It is Rugby League. It is running it straight here for you Wednesday, June the 7th. Sammy alongside Kemp in studio, taking you through until 3. Big shout out to everyone listening and watching on YouTube Live. You can leave a comment on there or you can text us on 8833. We will get your messages and we'll discuss them throughout the show. Lots coming up in the next hour though. We're going to talk very shortly about the games on the weekend in the NRL. And then we're going to catch up with Warriors high-flying winger at the moment, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. Actually gave him a new nickname on the weekend, didn't we, Kempy? Started off as...
you did.
Well, it started off as Air Dallin, sort of like a Michael Jordan tribute, and then someone rightfully tweeted us and told us it should be Hair Dallin. So Hair Dallin is what his new nickname's going to be. We'll find out if he likes it, amongst a bunch of other things as well. We will ask him about his hair too, Kempy. A lot of people want to know what the routine is. Is it natural? Where does it come from? He's going to answer all that, I'm sure, in around about 10 minutes' time. After 2:30, we're going to have a listen into some of the voicemails that have come in as part of our One New Zealand Warriors voicemail segment. Now, if you've not been hearing this playing throughout the station, it's really simple. All you got to do is call up 0800 37 GO Warriors, leave a voice message with your just any message of support really for the Warriors, or tell us why you're the biggest fan of the club, and you get a chance to win a massive prize package that includes flights to a game next year, accommodation, you get a free phone with mobile data plan, everything. We're going to listen to some of the entries that have come in just to inspire you a little bit. And Kempy will sort of maybe do a Britain's Got Talent and have his finger on a buzzer and let us know if you're going to give him the gold X or not, Kempy. And then we'll also talk through this weekend's NRL matchups, including a big one on Friday night for the Warriors v the Raiders. Jared Croker's 300th game, so a lot to play for them, and the Warriors looking to get back-to-back wins and a debutant in the centres, which I really want to talk to Kempy about as well. But we start the show as we always do. Kempy just having a look back over the round on the weekend. Maybe just start with the Warriors and the win over the Dolphins. Had a couple of days to sit back and just ruminate on it. 30 points to 8, and probably their best performance so far in 2023.
Well, the good thing about the win on the weekend, Sam, wasn't that the score blew out 30 points to 8, because that was coming. That blowout was coming. I thought it was going to come against Brisbane. They couldn't get the ball down over the try line. They got frustrated. But later on in the second half of the Dolphins, they go out there and they score 30 points. It was more about their defence, like the way that they played for field position and just stifled the Dolphins' side from coming out of their own half. I think we counted about half a dozen times that they got inside the 30-metre line close to the try line of the Warriors, which is their good ball zone. They actually try and put on some attacking plays, and when you're playing at this level, that's just not enough. And a real big battle in the middle of the park, from the Bromwich boys, especially SASA, and the defence that they were putting on. You saw Aidan Whanua-Blake shoot out of the line and put a tackle on. Mitch Barnett was leading that with the speed of the line. Eventually, the toll on the physicality of the game played into the Warriors' hands with that field position, and Shaun Johnson went on the cutter and carved up in the first half with that first try, and of course starting the roll with a second try. Some very, very good tries. The one down the short side where Nickel Klockstad took that ball, passed it to Bailey Sirinen, he gets tackled around the waist, finds Marata Nuakore, and sliding up from the inside. If you have a look how far Luke Metcalf came from to get that ball back, mate, that's really exciting for 5'8", because he's got, that's called footballing ability, you know what I mean, footballing now, so he's got vision to get to that spot before anyone else. And look, I just think that they're playing really, really well at the moment. It was been brewing, that type of scoreline. I thought it was a week earlier. Hopefully they get that down in Brisbane, because we're doing great Hawke's Bay with the stuff that they've been through, and of course go home from Tohu. They saved it till the week later against the Dolphins, and like Wayne Bennett said, what do you do? What do you do against a Warriors side with Shaun Johnson playing like that, and of course everyone else stepping up to the plate?
Mitch Barnett and Wade Egan inclusions back into the team. How massive with particularly Mitch Barnett, who you got to remember has been out for the best part of 11 weeks. I would struggle to find a better return from a player who's been out for 11 weeks than what Mitch Barnett gave up on Saturday.
Well, especially coming back from a neck injury and throwing himself into that game like he did through that period for a long period of time, you know what I mean? You'd think he'd work his way back into it, but he actually led the line speed and the first couple of tackles when he came on, and just drove other players to be right beside him defensively, which I thought was what's been missing through that middle of the park. They actually did what Sydney City did to them early on with that field position game and went down and tackled their way to a win. Wade Egan, well, the difference between Lussick and Wade Egan is that Wade Egan is a bit more of a smart footballer than Lussick. He knows how to sell things. He's shaping one side, going the other, especially around the ruck. He's getting players coming onto the football. So, if you're calling a blindside play, he'll step out to the open and move the markers one side and split the A defenders and then go back and hit the other guy on the other side of the ruck. Or he'll get a quick play the ball and just make sure that if you're coming back, and this is where Marata Nuakure loves running off Wade Egan, is that when he gets the football, Egan's done enough for the markers to know that he's not going to get hit in the next couple of metres and he can get some speed up behind that ruck. So Wade Egan needs to be on the football field with his side. It's one of the areas which we are very, very delicate in. HIA, we're losing both those hookers because of it. We've just got to make sure we manage it as the season goes on because, sitting in the spot that we're in, going into the back end of the season, mate, we're a dead set chance to just slowly create a little bit of havoc in this table.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're going to, I just want to ask you one more question on the Warriors and we will just quickly talk about some of those other games over the course of the weekend. You did mention something in the commentary box on Saturday, Kempe, around Sean Johnson. There was a tackle he made on Lemuelu where he basically wrapped up the arms and didn't let the offload away. And you mentioned a ball-carrying tactic. Was it hidden spin?
Well, it's a shrug. It's called a shrug movement. So basically, if you're watching players, they'll run in and they'll lift their arms up. Like most front runners, they're pain in the ass to tackle because they run with their elbows up and they'll get you in the sternum. That's where a lot of the sternum injuries come from. It's from a front row. You look at Warrior Hargreaves, the way that he runs, he's always giving you an elbow. There's a guy back in my day called Marty Masella, mate. He was just, you didn't want to tackle him too high because he'd knock you out with his elbows. But what you do is you go in and you make that contact, and as you make that contact, then you pull back with your arm and you shrug the player and the ball arm free and you offload it and you get a second movement. So as you throw that back, then the team goes behind them. They were gone. They were gone when they went down that right-hand side. And Shawnee hit that bloke, that back rower, and I remember watching it going, oh, that's a good shot. That needed to be made. And then my eyes are focused because they're 100 miles away, gone, shit, that was Sean Johnson. You know what I mean? And I think defensively, like we're talking about how well Sean Johnson's going offensively, Marata Nuakure and the way that the boys are really aiming up in the middle has made him feel really confident back in himself. And some of the tackles, I'm not just talking about that one instance. I'm talking about, these rounds that he's played through all year. He's pulled off some really, really good tackles defensively. And when we had Webby on earlier on the week saying you're asking players to do something and they're actually seeing you do it, he's getting loads of confidence out of it. He's playing probably as good as an aging Sean Johnson would have to play when you're thinking about where he's been in his career. And I just hope he can continue to deliver that form, and I hope that he stays injury free because he's having a season for the ages. Yeah,
fingers crossed. And great to get that little bit of analysis as well, Kempe, things that people probably don't really think about when they're just watching at home. Other games on over the weekend, Raiders beating the West Tigers 20 points to 19. That was a bit of a clanger finish there with the penalty on Jamal Fogarty, and then they hit the Raiders to go in front. Tigers nearly snatched another one there. The Rabbitohs beating the Titans quite comfortably. The Broncos with a win over the Sharks, which I thought was relatively impressive. Then the Roosters with just a 1-point victory over the Bulldogs thanks to a Luke Keary field goal. The Cowboys 45 points to 20 over the Storm, and the Panthers getting the job done over the Dragons 26 points to 18. Which of those other games sort of stood out for you over last weekend?
It's got to be the Storm, seriously. The Cowboys, they get towed up by 66 points a couple of weeks earlier, and then they come out against arguably one of the top 4 teams and turn them over quite convincingly. They didn't have too many players out. They had a few backing up from Origin, but to come out and play like that, the Cowboys had a couple come back from Origin too, and put that on. I've got to be really careful because when I watch that game, Cowboys and Storm, Origin does this to teams. Origin plays teams into form.
Yeah.
So you get a couple of Queensland boys come back for the Cowboys and the boys start bouncing off them. It's not the players that are playing Origin, it's the players that are around them. And they get a bit of a buzz out of the whole thing. And I just think the Storm got done on the back of Origin. I think, the Cowboys were where they are in Queensland. The Queensland win on the Wednesday night, and then they come back in. The Kemp's buoyed by that win. They just went out there and they felt really good. And some of the tries, I've got to say, were first class. That's the free-flowing type of Cowboys team that we've come to see. And for the Storm to turn up 45 points, mate, Bellamy would not be happy.
I think putrid was the word that Bellamy used, which no one's ever heard him use that word before. So you think the Cowboys are back?
I do. I think we've got to be really careful of the Cowboys, and if they do go on a run, we know they've got the team because the team's been there and were just caught short last year. If they decide to go on a run, see, the thing with the season is the season's still long enough to get a run, and this as a coach, and when you're doing your analysis, that the teams that get 3 or 4 wins back to back, they're the teams that you've got to be really worried about. And I think the Cowboys have the team to do that.
Text us on 8833, your thoughts of the rounds NRL action, including that Warriors win over the Dolphins. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Dallin Watene-Zelezniak on the phone. You can also send your comments through on our YouTube Live for all those people watching on there. So stick with us. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak coming up next. Yeah, coming up 20 minutes past 2 here on Running It Straight. Big shout out to South Seas Healthcare, Auckland's largest Pacific wellbeing service provider. And joining us on the line now, I'd argue he's probably the fan favourite of 2023, Kempy, although there's quite a few that you could put that moniker on. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, the high-flying winger who's scored an inordinate amount of tries in 2023. He's on the line with us now. Good afternoon to you, Dallin.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Yeah, appreciate having me on the show. And, yeah.
Mate, talk to me about Saturday. 30 points to 8 against the Dolphins, 24,000 at Mount Smart. You're wearing the old school jerseys. You bag a couple of meat pies yourself, mate. You look like you're just absolutely loving it at the moment.
Yeah. There's nothing better than playing at Mount Smart. I remember playing against the Warriors at Mount Smart. It was always good because your family was there, but you always knew the crowd was loud and I'm going to give it to you. So to be on the other end now and being at Mount Smart, it's actually probably up there one of my favourite stadiums that I play at.
Hey, Dallin, it's Kemp here, mate. You're obviously having a great season. I'm making it 7 tries in 7 games. What do you put that down to? What's going right for you in 2023?
I don't know. I'm still I've got a routine that I got going and tweaking that. But for me, I really think it's just being back home where I'm from with my wife and kids. And I think also a big one too is it probably is the reason why is just Webby and the way he's helped me with my game and simplifying it and all our games. We just know if we go in there and we do our role, then it goes a long way to us winning the game and not having to worry about anything else but our own role and how we can nail that.
Mate, that's a real common theme, when talking with a lot of the other boys, is firstly the being back home and being with family, etc., but also the impact of Webby. What can you just sort of, enlighten us a little bit as to maybe some of the tweaks that you've made to your own game? And we all know that you sort of started out as a fullback, you've sort of shifted to the wing at your time at the Warriors. What's just a couple of things that you've been really focusing on in 2023?
I think, in the preseason, I was really focused on my defence. All the games that I've played well in or gotten praise for, I felt like it's my defence that has set that for me. Because I know when my defence is well, the attack looks after itself. I'm not worrying about, I've done this wrong, I've done that. I can just play. And I think before I got injured in the preseason, I was really at the top of that with me. And then coming back after, I think I had 7 games out the start of the season. Coming back, I was a bit rusty, but I feel like now I've sort of got my bearings back again from beforehand. And I really think that everything that we're doing well is coming off our defence. And that, I feel that personally for me, if I'm defending well, then everything sort of looks after itself.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to us about the person inside you, your centre, because we always talk about on the show how centre is one of the hardest positions in rugby league. You've got so much responsibility both on attack and defence. Now, you've had a lot of change in and around you given the injuries that we've had. Even on the weekend, you found Josh Curran lurking out there next year. Yeah. How does that, change your mindset mid-game, and what are the sort of conversations you're having to sort of make sure that even if it is someone new, you're both on the same page? Yeah,
well, Josh and I, as soon as he came to the centre, to play centre, he just looked over to me and he goes, "Bro, you got to talk to me the whole time." And I said, "Yeah, don't worry." A big one for us is our communication. If we're communicating and we know what's coming, we know what we're doing, then we pretty much solve everything. And I think we went, it happened on the weekend, they scored, but we went about 4 games on our heads with no tries. So we got a process that we got to follow, and Josh fell into that. And I think we've had, like you said, we've chopped and changed with injuries. And the best thing about it is we all know the system. And when someone fills in, you're able to, coach on the run. Instead of having, sometimes I've been in games where after the game you get to video and you're like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Whereas we can do that on the run instead of having to wait until the day after when the game's finished on trying to fix it.
Mate, I actually wanted to ask you something around that. In years gone by, the Warriors team, they would often put their heads down. They'd succumb to a bit of negativity. A penalty or knock-on would usually lead to points, but this year you guys seem to have a lot of resilience. You guys are really backing up defensively when you make an error. What do you put that down to?
Yeah, I still think we're still working on that. I don't think we've hit the mark with that. But yeah, we're just really trying to focus in on what's next. That's for me, that's the focus. Everyone's going to make. I think if you're going into games thinking you're not going to do something wrong, it's wishful thinking. There's always going to be something that goes wrong, and it's just your mindset of being what's next and how can I fix what's gone wrong kind of thing instead of dwelling on it. I think, like I just spoke before about, if I get defense right, I'm not worrying about when I'm trying to attack, I've done this wrong in defense. You're thinking and you're not thinking about it. I think, for me, the mind's real clear and our role and clarity in that. So I think that goes a long way in us being able to defend things and knowing that, what's next? Okay, we've done something wrong. What can we do next?
Do you feel like
let's defend this set kind of thing? That's the chat out on that. I feel
yeah, for sure. Do you feel like there's a lot more confidence in the team this year? I'm sure you guys don't talk about, we want to make top 8, we want to make top 4, we want to win a grand final, we want to win a premiership. That's the goal for anyone and every team.
Yeah.
But do you feel like there's just a little bit more confidence in the side this year?
Yeah, I think the confidence is built from what we just spoke about. When you defend something, you only you feel bigger, you feel better. Every time you turn someone away. So I think the fact that we keep doing it is building confidence. So yeah, I reckon you could say our confidence is building, and yeah.
Hey, Dallin, can I talk to you a little bit about your background and your heritage? You know, your great-grandfather, the great Steve Watene, is synonymous with the game of rugby league in this country. Can you just finish by telling us a little bit about your name, both the Watene and Zelezniak names? Where do they come from?
Oh, well, Watene is my grandpa Steve, my mum's side. So my mum's a Watene. Her dad was Steve's son, Tuhoi. And then Zelezniak is my dad's last name, which is Polish. So my dad's half Tongan, half Polish. But and then when my grandfather passed away, there was only ever one boy in the family to carry on the name. So when he passed away, I got 3 brothers, so there's 4 of us to carry on the name. My dad changed it back to Zelezniak for him, and yeah, that's how we got Zelezniak. But then my dad told my mum to go and do the papers, so my mum thought it should be funny and chuck Watson there. So that's how. So yeah, and then Dad got the papers back and was like, "What the heck have you done?" And then yeah, just sort of stuck. So my parents and youngest brother are just Zelezniak.
Right. That's it's got to be the most interesting combination, right? You've got a Māori surname and a Polish surname. I mean, it's almost unheard of. But it makes for a great ring, mate, when you're calling it out in the commentary booth. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no, a lot of people. Sometimes I watch games back, and a lot of people struggle with it. A lot of people get upset. But to be honest, people have been getting it wrong for my whole life, so I'm pretty used to it.
No, mate. No. We have to get it right, and we do try our best here in the commentary box. Talk to us a little bit just about that legacy, Dallin. And I know you're a very proud New Zealander, and you love putting on that Kiwis jersey and representing the Kiwis. You've obviously captained them as well. But talk to us a little bit about what it means to have that legacy of the Watene name.
Yeah, I didn't realise until I started playing. I knew about my grandpa Steve and how he played he played rugby league and what he did for the Māori community, and not only footy but in politics and that as well. I knew he did some big things, but I think when I started playing for the Kiwis and we'd go to Marais and we'd have porphyries and that, and then I'd hear them talk about my grandfather, and it just showed me, sort of started to realise how influential he actually was away from the field as much as he was on the field. And I think it's pretty special. It's something I've always sort of been proud of, to be able to be like a direct line from him kind of thing. So it makes me proud, and I wish I got to meet him and spend some time with him, pick his brains, or even if he had a couple diaries or something to read, it would have been nice. But yeah, it sort of come, like, hearing those stories and knowing about him sort of motivated me a little bit, knowing that you could say that, like, knowing that I've got to sort of live up to what he set or what he did, and trying to, I guess, make him proud and his name proud, because at the end of the day, it is his name.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome to hear. Well, a couple more quick ones to finish, mate. Now, you probably thought this one was going to come. We said we were getting you on the show, and we got a bunch of people messaging us asking about your hair. So you got to tell us. Most people want to know what the routine is. Other people want to know, is it natural? What does it take? How much time and effort does it take? And how does it all work?
Literally, it doesn't take too long. A lot of people think my hair's permed. It's not permed, but when people say it's a perm, I usually I cop it from the crowd sometimes, and they're like, "Oh, like, what are you doing with your perm?" And I look back, and it's usually the bald fellas that are giving it to me. But what's it called? Yeah, a lot of people think I perm my hair, but no, it's not permed. I literally, the thing I do is when I hop out of the shower, I don't dry my hair. I just let it drip dry.
Right. That's the
secret.
And
then, my daughters have the same hair as me. So my wife's got a few products for them, like this spray that she uses so it doesn't knot, because my hair will get knotty or like it could potentially go into dreads if I don't brush it.
Yeah.
But it was actually a funny story, because my daughter looks nothing like me, and then she had curly ass hair, and we were wondering where she got that from. We're like, man, where the heck does she get her curly hair from? My mum and dad have curly hair, and then I grew my hair out, and it happened to be curly. I was like, oh, far out, it's me.
It's all natural. It's all natural. And what is it when you're running, mate? Is it we actually discussed this in the commentary box on the weekend? Is it aerodynamic? Does it hold you up a little bit?
I don't know, but it feels nice slapping the back of my neck.
It looks good too, man. It looks good too. We actually came up with a nickname for you. On the weekend we called you Air Dallin, because of your jumping in the air. Air Dallin. But then someone tweeted us and said you've got to call him Hair Dallin. So you're going to be Hair Dallin. That's your new nickname. I'm not sure if you're a big fan, but that's what we're going with.
I don't mind that one. That's pretty cool.
Awesome, man. Hey, look, it's been really good to catch up with you, Dallin. Like I said, when we said we were getting you on, just lots of messages. People absolutely love having you at the club. You've been going great in 2023, mate, along with the rest of the team. And, really excited to see what the next 10 or 11 games have in store for this year. So thanks heaps for coming on, mate, and good luck for the rest of the year.
Easy. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
There you go. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, what a legend, and all about the hair. Kemp, he said that he gets the most stick from the bald fellas in the crowd.
Well, of course you'd be jealous with a hairline like that. He's actually got a hairline with all those bald blokes. Just got nothing, mate. He's got that much running off him. There's one of the not behind him catching the leftovers, so they can use it another time. Just to touch on Puti Tipene Watene, which is Steve Watene. Like, he was the first Māori captain of the Kiwi team, and of course a politician down in Parliament as well that passed away in Parliament House. Was he the first Māori in Parliament, or the first Māori rugby league captain that had made it into Parliament? Something like that. Yes, he was on. Not the. I think as far as Parliament goes, he was held in great esteem, and they actually played for a shield that is still around. I'm pretty sure that it's involved now in New Zealand Māori Rugby League, but it was one of the most prestigious shields that you could play for back in the day. So the pedigree of Dallin is right up there, and it's really really cool that he had a chance to talk about his whakapapa, but also about how he came about the name when his mother took to get the name change and decided to slide Watene into Zelezniak. It's a really cool story. He's a crowd favourite. Like, no, don't put hair aside, he's a crowd favourite because of the effort that he puts in week in, week out.
Yeah.
He's arguably the best player last year. We spoke about that every time we commentated. But this year, with him in the game, like in the last 7 weeks, if you've backed him for a try scorer, you're going to get paid.
For jam.
You're going to get paid. So I think he's got plenty more in him this year, and he's obviously a very smart footballer too. You know, this is the way that he articulated the reasons why they are feeling so resilient and why they're jumping on. I guess that roller coaster, jumping off that roller coaster and onto each other's positivity when their defence is on song. So good to hear from him.
Yeah, no, he's an awesome bloke and real top character as well. We just communicated a little bit pre and post interview and just, really, really nice guy. Great to have him on Running It Straight this afternoon. You can respond or react if you want on 8833. You can drop a comment in the YouTube. There are plenty there, which we will get to after news, sport and weather. You're listening to Running It Straight here on SENZ. Thanks to South Seas Healthcare, Auckland's largest Pacific wellbeing service provider. 25 minutes away from 3 here on Running It Straight, and I'll go just through your comments on the YouTube channel quickly. Joey says, DWZ definitely needs an endorsement deal with Soul Glow. For real, he needs a hair endorsement deal with a company. Well, I'm sure that's probably in the works somewhere, Kempy. Interesting to hear that was all natural, though. I would have thought there was quite a lot that went into that.
Yeah, well, he needs to go and get that sorted out. He's got a bit of oily hair going on there.
He said he's got the wife's hair products in there. I'm sure she can help him out with the deal.
They got a bit of the Rick James look. You know, you're always talking about Lionel Richie, but to me, I reckon it's the Rick James look, mate. He's a bit of a super freak.
I always, this is from Joey again, I always love the way DWZ brings the ball back hard. Reminds me of Carmichael Hunt. That was from Joey. The NRL Fanatic says DWZ is the man. Love the energy he brings to the team. And another one from League 278 says, what's Kempy's metabolic age? Still looking like he could play.
God, I don't feel like it. 100%. Maybe if Sammy Hewat was on the other side,
you haven't seen how slowly he walks around the office.
I'd definitely play. If you were a cheeky little halfback, you'd cop a couple of clips.
I thought you said I'd be a fullback. Didn't you say I'd be a fullback?
Well, that's because I couldn't hide you. I couldn't put you on the wing because they'd find you, but I'd put you at fullback. At least you can run away.
The thing is,
get a head start.
The thing is, guys, Kempy made his name from his goal kicking, and I don't know if you've seen him kick recently, but he's got no place on rugby league field. Just kidding.
Look at this junior.
Just kidding.
Listen to this junior.
All right, we're going to have a bit of fun now because we've been doing our One New Zealand Warriors voicemail competition. So we're looking for the One New Zealand Warriors biggest fan. All you've got to do is call 0800 37 GO Warriors. Leave a voicemail telling us why you're the Warriors one big fan. You're in to win a ultimate fan experience. That's thanks to One New Zealand. There's all sorts involved if you are the winner. And all you got to do is ring that number and leave a voicemail. So what I thought we'd do is we'd take a couple of clips of some of the voicemails that have come in so far, Kempy, and hopefully inspire people to send one in. So here is caller number 1.
Phone the fire department. Phone the police, but don't phone the ambulance. No need. It's one New Zealand Warriors, and it's our year. We're going all the way.
Well, we're going all the way, you reckons, Kempy? That's not a bad one.
1-1.
1 New Zealand Warriors.
I like that.
Don't call the ambulance. So let's hear from caller number 2.
Hello. I'm a really big fan of the Warriors, and it'll help out a lot for our family if we could win. We have been supporting for years and years, and we've got nearly every single piece of merchandise from the Warriors, and we love your show. It would mean a lot to us if you could pick up.
Oh, that's how heartwarming is that, Kempy?
Oh, yeah,
I think that's a winner.
That's pulling on the strings.
That's almost a win here, telling us you're pulling on Kempy's heartstrings. Let's go to caller number 3.
Up the Warriors. I've been a member for over 10 years now. In fact, I was there the first game in '95. I got a cap. I have a cap signed by the inaugural team. I drive 4 hours every home game from Kitty in Northland with my little boy, and we just love the team. We love the boys. That's our team, just in love with the whole brand, the whole footy club. So up the Warriors, and thank you. Go the Warriors!
There you go. That's all you got to do. Just ring up the voicemail, leave a message. And we're playing some of them out across the station. And if you are the winner, you win a great prize pack. So it's pretty sure free to call. 0800 37 GO Warriors. Why not? Throw your name in the hat. I think I even heard a couple from you there, Kempy, but you're not eligible, unfortunately. There's actually a text in here that's from John that says, Kempy, loving your game analysis when you're not bagging the Warriors, way back when we were struggling. Like your mix of support and tough love this year. That's from John.
Well, yeah, Honey, it's really about balance. Like I wasn't probably saying anything that everyone was thinking. I was the only one who had the courage to say it when they were going pretty average. And, good comments are due when they're due, and of course they're due at the moment because they are playing really well, and it's quite easy to give a balanced opinion when they're putting in an effort week on, week out. Look, I just did a podcast with a mate of mine up in Newcastle. It's been 30 years since I spoke to him. Back in the early days when Newcastle came on board, the town would pack out the stadium. They put 30,000 people in, a lot like what the Warriors are doing at the moment. All that town expected was effort. You know what I mean? And I think what we're getting this year, and why it's so easy to talk about them, John, is because you're getting effort whether they lose or win week in, week out. And that goes a long way to keeping people happy.
Text in here from Sam as well that came through on 8833. Hey boys, love SJ and the way he's playing. My only gripe is how conservative he is when kicking for touch on penalties. He often only gains 10 or 15 metres, but the ball lands 20 metres over the line over the sideline, meaning he could have gained much more. Any idea why he is so conservative? He has been this way his whole career. That's from Sam.
It's sort of, when you want to kick the ball long, and you want to make as many yards as you can, and it's one of the things that you think about, geez, I hope he gets another 20 metres on that kick or 15 metres or whatever. Sometimes they just want to kick it out and get the game back in motion, so they're not really worried about chewing it off. And you'll see that, especially if they're kicking close to the halfway, they won't actually go for too many yards because they want to actually have a few shots from a little bit further out.
Yeah.
Look, I hear what you're saying. It's always nice to get a kick as far as you can. The other problem that you do have when you go for that, if you don't hit it right, turning it over, it is one of the cardinal sins, turning a football over from a penalty. Mm-hmm. So we do see it happen where I think Sean Johnson right at the beginning of the year, remember, he hit that nice long kick and everyone's going, right, that's exactly what I wanted, and they caught it right on the sideline. And of course, those are big momentum shifts.
Yeah, I think the one for me, Kempy, is like when we get a penalty on the 20 or the 30 and it only goes 10 metres, when you really do want good field position at that stage. I totally get your point about being closer to halfway. You do want to allow yourself a bit of a run up, but maybe just out of our own end, if we could pick up an extra 10, that's an extra tackle basically in hand. So take your point, Sam. Appreciate your text as well. You can keep your text coming on 8833, or you can drop a comment on the YouTube channel. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will have a look at Raiders v Warriors this Friday night, live here on SENZ. Myself and Blake Ashford. Kempy's taking a weekend off. So this Friday night, 8 p.m. kickoff, and it's Jared Croker's 300th game. Plenty to talk about. We'll do it all after the break. Yeah, welcome back into Running It Straight, 30 minutes away from 3. We will have a look at the Raiders at Warriors game this Friday night at 8 p.m, and it is up in Canberra for Jared Croker's 300th. The Raiders sitting in 6th position on the ladder, the Warriors in 7th. The Raiders on 18 points, the Warriors on 16. So quickly just go through the team list for you. So for the Warriors, starting at number 1, Charles Klugstad, the 2 wingers, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, Marcelo Montoya, the 2 centres, Adam Pompey, and a debut for Ali you have to help me here, Kemp. Leotoa. So we'll talk a little bit about him shortly. Luke Metcalf, Sean Johnson in the halves. Adam Fanua, Blake Bunty are forward. The 2 front rowers, Wade Egan in the hooking role. Jackson Ford, Marata Niakora and Tohu Harris, the back rowers. Then on the bench, you got Bailey Surin and Josh Curran, Mitch Barnett and Tom Ali. So a pretty much unchanged side from the weekend, Kemp, except for Ali in the centres, who takes over from Rocco Berry.
Yeah, and he must be going all right to get in there and put the centres, because you thought maybe you'd shift Dallin into that centre position and maybe bring in another winger, but they've gone straight for Ali into the centres. Had Jerry Susu in for breakfast this morning, and he was basically saying that he'd been moved into 5'8" and actually carved up from that half position. Yep. So his form's pretty good. Look, I think up against Jared Croker, Matt Timuko, he's going to be under a little bit of pressure. The kid apparently can play. It's about whether or not he can step up to this next level. And on all accounts, he can step up to this next level. They rate him down at the club, and I'm not just talking about the staff, I'm talking about the players. So, I don't think he struggles too much against this game in Canberra. I actually think the Warriors are playing better football than Canberra. Currently, it's going to be a great game. Most of the times when we go to Canberra, We do tend to turn up and play some good football. So with that side not having too many changes to it, apart from Rocco Berry being out, I like the shape of the Warriors, mate. I think they'll go there wanting to spoil the party.
Yeah, so I was trying to find the stats on Ali that got published from New South Wales Cup, but he's scored a bunch of tries in the games he's played. I think he's averaging about 130 metres a game as well. Plenty of tackle breaks, Kempy. So an exciting young player that the club really does rate. For the Raiders, I'll just quickly run through their team. Sebastian Chris starts in the fullback position, Albert Hopewate and Jordan Rapana on the wings, Jared Croker, Matthew Timokot in the centres, Jack White and Jamal Fogarty are the halves, Josh Papali'i, Joseph Tapani in the propping stock, Zach Wolford to start at hooker, then Hudson Young, Elliot Whitehead, Corey Horsburgh in the back row, Tom Starling, Emre Gula, Nick Kotrick and Pasami Solo on the interchange. It's a Raiders team, Kempy, that for Ricky Stewart has done a job in 2023. They came close against the Tigers. They came close to losing last week, but they've tipped up some of the competition favourites as well. So it really is a massive test for the Warriors this Friday.
It's a little bit of a slow start to the season. Then they went through that run. Great forward pack. You know, if you look at Hudson Young, Joseph Tarpon and Josh Papali'i, of course you put Elliot Whitehead, the Great Britain International in there, and Corey Horsburgh, who they're saying is going to get a call up to Queensland Origin in the second state of Origin game. This is a game where Horsburgh especially is wanting to put his hands up so that the Origin selectors say, yep, we'll take you in that side. And then you've got that front row, especially with Tom Starling coming off the bench for Zach Wolford, causing some havoc in and around that dummy half area when the forwards of the Warriors get tired. But look, the forward pack for the Warriors ain't nobody forward pack either, especially with Mitch Barnett coming off the bench. I think that he adds a lot of starch to the side. It'd be really nice if we had Dills Walker back for this one, but we haven't. But the starting side, Jackson Ford, Marata Nuakure on those edges. Marata Nuakure was close to the best player against the Dolphins. Tohu Harris playing with a busted knee is still looking really good. And Aidan Whenua-Blake, I haven't seen him defend like that, like he did on the weekend for a long time, because generally we're talking about his ball carries. And of course, adding Wade Egan back to that mix, you've got some deception in and around that. If there is somewhere where we can win this game, I actually think it's in the halves. I actually think, you've got Jamal Fogarty and Jack White that are good footballers, but I don't think they're going as well as what Sean is going at the moment and as good as Luke Metcalf is getting. So 3 games in for Luke Metcalf, he has seen what he can do in the second game. Mate, he's just going to get better and better. Yeah,
this has game of the round written all over it, Kempy. In terms of the emotion of a milestone game, and a big one in that it's 300 for Jared Croker, what are the conversations from both coaches, from Ricky Stewart's point of view in terms of stepping up on a big occasion, but also from Andrew Webster to try and coach his side through what's going to be a pretty emotive evening in Canberra? There's going to probably be a sellout as well, lots of noise. What's sort of both coaches going to be saying to their teams?
Well, I don't know. Like for Ricky Stewart, he's actually started building this game up already after the win that they snatched. They clutched from they'd had that game won, and then the West Tigers had come back and just about stole it in the end. And he started with going off in the press conference and building around this 300th game of Jared Croker back in Canberra. Now, there is no need for motivation for Canberra. You know what I mean? You've got a coach that's going to put it all on why you go out there and play for this guy, what he means to the club. But when you're on the other side, there's no easier motivation than going to spoil the party. And of course, where they sit on the table and going into a bye, the Warriors want this game. You've got to remember that Brisbane haven't had their byes yet. There's teams still to come with plenty of points left in the bank. So it's a little bit of a false economy when you're looking at that leaderboard. And here's the Warriors with an opportunity. I think they'll regret that 2-point loss that they had. When I'm saying they've lost the 2 points against Brisbane, they get it back against the Dolphins, and of course now they get a chance to go in with 4-point turnaround against the Raiders. And I like them. I think they can go and spoil the party.
Well, there you go. Text us in your tips actually for this Friday night. What do you think is going to happen? Maybe the margin as well. 8833. I'll drop it in the YouTube channel comments. We'll take one more quick break and finish up after that. Yeah, just before we finish up, plenty of comments on the YouTube channel and texts in here as well on 8833. Not going to be able to get all of them, but someone did say having Ali debuting could potentially be a masterstroke from Webby, as years back Conrad Harrell used to torment Jared Croker. So it could be a masterstroke. And some other news that's just come through as well. Kempy, Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs this weekend against the Dragons.
Yeah, no, he's just didn't finish training. Looks like he's pulled his quad muscle, which is a serious enough injury for him too. When you're thinking that he's pushing for New South Wales honours, that's the other thing. This weekend, mate, you've got players playing for Origin jerseys. So the games you're watching, look out.
Yeah, there's a good weekend to pick it up if you haven't been watching for the last few. That is us for another Wednesday. Great to have Dallin Watene-Zelezniak on. Go and have a listen back to that interview if you didn't catch it on our podcast channels. We will have live commentary of the Raiders this Friday night, build up from 7 p.m. with kickoff at 8 o'clock. But that is us. We will hand over to the run home with Kirsten Beeve.